Princess Serenia sat quietly in the command chair of her starship. The ship glided through the endless dark of space, its silver hull shining against the distant stars. She kept her hands folded on her lap, her posture straight, her voice calm. Inside, however, her heart beat quickly. This was her first mission without her father, the king. She was not only a daughter of royalty now, she was the leader of this diplomatic journey. Her guards stood around her, tall figures dressed in armor made of bright crystal. They watched every corner of the ship, ready to protect her life at any cost. But Serenia knew protection was not enough. A princess had to be more than a person to guard. She had to be an example of strength, patience, and control. Even if her own fears whispered inside her, she could not let them show. The mission was simple: travel through neutral space and meet with an allied race. But space was never truly safe. Pirates, raiders, and enemies hid in the shadows between stars. Serenia hoped their journey would be smooth, but deep inside she prepared herself for the worst. It happened faster than she expected. The alarm rang. A sharp red light filled the bridge and the ship shook violently. Her guards reached for their weapons while the pilot shouted, "Raiders! 3 ships on intercept course!" Serenia's voice came out steady, though her hands tightened around the armrests of her chair. "Evasive maneuvers. Do not let them board." The ship turned sharply, but the enemy vessels were faster. Blasts of energy struck their shields, each impact sending shivers through the deck. Sparks flew from broken panels and smoke filled the air. "We cannot outrun them, Princess," shouted the pilot. "Then we must survive," Serenia answered. Her voice did not rise, though her chest burned with fear. She could not show weakness now. The ship's engines screamed, but then an explosion tore through the rear. The vessel spun out of control, falling toward the nearest planet. Brace for impact. Everything became chaos. The ship crashed into the surface of a green world, breaking trees and rocks as it slid to a stop. For a long moment there was only silence, then the groans of her people rising from the wreck. Serenia pulled herself up, brushing dust from her royal robes. She forced her breathing to slow. Her guards looked at her with worried eyes, waiting for her to give them courage. She gave them a nod, calm and steady. "We are alive. That is enough. Begin repairs." But they were not alone. From the shadows of the forest, a figure appeared. He was not alien, not like any species Serenia had studied in her long lessons. He was human. He wore rough green armor, scratched from years of use. His hair was dark, his jaw firm, his eyes sharp like blades. A rifle rested across his back, but he did not raise it. He stood tall, watching them with a mixture of caution and curiosity. Serenia's guards reacted at once. They drew their weapons and formed a wall around their princess. "Stay back, creature," one of them shouted. The human did not move closer. Instead, he raised one hand slowly, showing it was empty. His voice came out deep and steady. "I mean no harm." Serenia studied him carefully. In her lessons, humans were spoken of as young, reckless, and unpredictable. They were considered too new in the galaxy to hold great power. But the man in front of her did not look weak. He stood as if he had survived many battles. She felt her heart beat faster. She told herself to stay calm. She was a princess. She must not let emotion control her. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice clear. The man lowered his hand and bowed his head slightly. "Daniel, soldier of the Human Expeditionary Force. I was stationed here to observe this planet. I saw your ship fall." Her guards whispered in alarm. A soldier? From a race not fully trusted? They pressed closer around Serenia, ready to defend her, but Serenia lifted one hand, asking them to step back. Her calm eyes never left Daniel. "You saw us fall. Why did you come?" Daniel's answer was simple. "Because no one survives long out here alone." His words surprised her. They were not the words of a conqueror, not the words of someone seeking advantage. They were the words of a man who had seen danger and chosen to help. The princess thought carefully. She knew her people would never trust this human easily. Yet something inside her told her he spoke the truth. "Your Highness," one guard whispered, sharply. "He could be a spy. Or he could be our chance to survive," Serenia replied calmly. She stepped forward, her movements graceful. Her guards stiffened, but they followed. She stopped only a few steps away from Daniel. For the first time, she looked directly into his eyes. They were tired but strong, carrying the weight of many unspoken stories. "I am Princess Serenia of the Celestial Crown," she said. Her voice carried authority, though her heart trembled inside her chest. "If your intent is true, then we will accept your aid. But know this: I will not forgive betrayal." Daniel gave a short nod. "Fair. And if you mean what you say, Princess, then I'll do what I can." There was a moment of silence between them. The air was heavy, filled with doubt, yet also with the spark of something new. Two worlds had met in the middle of a forest, far from their homes, each unsure of the other. Serenia kept her composure, but inside she wondered, why did this human feel so different from the stories she had heard? Why did his steady voice make her heart feel less afraid? Daniel looked at her ship, damaged and smoking. "You'll need shelter and repairs. My outpost is not far from here. It's small but safe." The guards exchanged worried glances, ready to refuse. But Serenia raised her hand again, silencing them. She spoke with calm authority. "Lead us there." Daniel gave a firm nod, then turned toward the forest path. As Serenia followed, she forced her breath to remain steady, though each step filled her with questions. She was a princess of the stars. He was only a soldier from a young race. Yet somehow, in this strange meeting, she felt that the fate of more than herself might be decided. And so, the journey of an alien princess and a human soldier began. Not with trust, but with the fragile hope that calm hearts could guide them through the unknown. The forest was quiet except for the soft crunch of boots against the ground. Daniel walked ahead with steady steps, his rifle slung across his back, his shoulders relaxed but ready. Behind him, Princess Serenia moved gracefully, her royal robes brushing against the leaves. Her guards followed close, their crystal armor shining faintly in the dim light, eyes always fixed on the human soldier. Serenia kept her face calm, her posture regal. Inside, however, she felt tension. Every move Daniel made was watched closely by her guards. She knew they doubted him. They saw a human soldier as a risk, an unpredictable being from a race too young to trust. Yet Serenia remembered his words. No one survives long out here alone. Something about his tone had felt honest. "Princess," one of her guards whispered softly, leaning close as they walked, "we should not follow him. We know nothing of his kind." Serenia replied in the same low tone, her expression calm so Daniel would not notice. "We know this. He came when others would not. He offered help when he could have stayed hidden. For now, that is enough." The guard pressed his lips tightly but said no more. They walked for nearly an hour before reaching a clearing. In the center stood a structure of metal and stone, small, rough, but solid. A human outpost. Its walls were plain compared to the shining buildings of Serenia's homeworld, but it looked strong against storms or raids. Daniel stopped at the gate and turned to face them. This is it. Not much, but safe. Her guards narrowed their eyes at the sight of the human flag painted on the wall. Serenia raised her hand, calming them. She gave Daniel a short nod. "We will enter." Inside, the outpost was simple. Narrow halls, metal walls, low lights. Machines hummed quietly in corners. To Serenia's people, used to tall halls of glass and crystal, it looked dark and plain. But to Daniel, it was home. He guided them to a large room with tables and supplies. "You can rest here," he said. "I'll bring food and water." One of the guards muttered, "We do not eat his kind's food." Serenia silenced him with a calm look. "We will see first before we judge." Daniel returned carrying packets of dried human rations and bottles of water. He placed them on the table without forcing anyone to take them. Instead, he opened one for himself and began to eat. Serenia watched closely. He ate without hesitation. No poison, no trick. She picked up one of the packets, turned it over in her hands, and slowly opened it. The food inside was plain, but she raised it to her lips and took a small bite. It was salty, rough in texture, not like the delicate meals of her palace. Still, it gave energy. She placed it down gently. It will sustain us. Her guards looked shocked, but none dared argue. Slowly, they too began to eat. Daniel said nothing, but Serenia noticed a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Working together. The next morning, Daniel led them to the communication room. Machines lined the walls, some blinking, some silent. "If we can fix your ship's signal, maybe your people will find you," he explained. Serenia stepped forward, her calm voice steady. "Can you repair it?" Daniel shook his head slightly. "Not alone, but maybe together." Her guards frowned. "A human cannot understand our systems." Daniel opened one of the panels showing wires and circuits. "Electronics are electronics. The design is different, but the principle is the same. Power flows, signals carry. Fix the break, and it works." Serenia studied him, then gave a nod. "Very well. Show us what you know." They worked side by side for hours. Daniel's hands were rough, quick, used to field repairs with limited tools. Serenia's technicians were precise and delicate. At first, their methods clashed. Daniel cut wires with a soldier's knife, while the aliens carefully adjusted circuits with crystal tools. They argued softly, each insisting their way was better. But Serenia remained calm, guiding both sides. "We will use what works," she said firmly. "Not human way or royal way. The way that brings results." Her calm authority silenced the tension. Slowly, cooperation grew. By evening, the broken system lit up again with a soft glow. The signal was weak, but alive. One of her guards looked surprised. It works." Daniel gave a short nod, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Not perfect, but better." Serenia allowed herself a small smile. "You have skill, soldier." Daniel shrugged lightly. "You have patience, princess." For a moment, their eyes met. It was brief, but in that silence, Serenia felt something strange. Her heart beat faster, though she kept her face calm. The storm that night, the sky darkened with heavy clouds. Winds howled through the forest, shaking the outpost walls. Rain poured down, striking the metal roof like thousands of drums. Serenia stood by the window, watching the storm. Her people whispered nervously. They had never seen weather like this. Their homeworld skies were gentle, controlled by advanced systems. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed. A bolt of lightning struck a nearby tree, setting it aflame. The fire spread quickly, and fierce winds pushed it toward the outpost. "Princess, the flames are coming," shouted a guard. Panic rippled through the group, but Serenia raised her voice firmly. "Hold your ground. Do not scatter." Daniel ran into the room carrying equipment. "We need to clear the fire break or the outpost burns." Her guards hesitated. Fire was not something they understood. "It is too dangerous." Serenia turned to them, her eyes sharp. "He knows this world better than we do. Follow his lead." They obeyed, though with fear. Daniel led them outside into the storm. Rain soaked their robes, wind whipped their faces, but they worked together. Using tools, water tanks, and even their own strength, they cut down burning branches and cleared the ground. At one point, a guard slipped near the flames. Daniel grabbed him and pulled him back to safety. The guard stared at him in shock, realizing this human had just saved his life. Serenia saw it all. She stood strong in the storm, her robes heavy with rain, her hair wild in the wind. Yet her voice remained calm as she directed her people. "Here, work together. Do not falter." After long, exhausting minutes, the fire slowed. The rain grew heavier, finally drowning the flames. The outpost still stood, safe. Everyone collapsed in the mud, breathing hard. Daniel leaned on his knees, water dripping from his hair. He glanced at Serenia, who stood tall despite her soaked clothes. She looked at him with calm eyes, but inside, her chest was warm with something new. Gratitude. Respect. One of her guards whispered softly, "Perhaps humans are not as weak as we believed." Serenia heard but said nothing. She only looked once more at Daniel, who had proven more than strength. He had proven courage. A new question later, as the storm quieted, Serenia sat alone in the outpost hall. Her guards rested nearby, too tired to speak. Daniel entered quietly, carrying a lamp. He placed it near her and spoke softly. "Your people are strong," he said. "But they look to you first. You kept them steady out there." Serenia folded her hands on her lap. "A princess must stay calm. If I fall, they all fall." Daniel nodded. "Then you carry more than your crown. You carry their hope." His words touched her more than she expected. She had always known her duty, but hearing it from him made it feel heavier, and yet more meaningful. She looked at him carefully. "And what do you carry, soldier?" Daniel's eyes darkened with memory. "Orders. Duty. And the promise that if someone needs me, I won't walk away." Serenia felt her heart beat faster again. She forced her voice to stay calm. "Then perhaps our duties are not so different." For a moment, silence filled the hall. Two different worlds, two different lives, but the same fire of responsibility burned in both. Serenia kept her face composed, but inside she wondered, could this human soldier be more than chance? Could he be the key to their survival? And perhaps something greater? The thought lingered as the storm passed, leaving behind only the fragile trust that had begun to grow between an alien princess and a human soldier. The morning after the storm was quiet. Mist hung over the forest, curling between trees and drifting across the ground. Birds sang softly in the distance, their voices sharp against the silence of the outpost. For a brief moment, it felt peaceful. Princess. Serenia stood on the balcony of the small base, her crystal blue eyes fixed on the horizon. She held her hands behind her back, her robe still damp from the storm. Her guards moved carefully around her, repairing damaged armor and checking their weapons. They looked tired but alive. Inside the outpost, Daniel checked the communication console again. The signal flickered weakly, but it was still unstable. He frowned, tapping the screen with rough fingers. Still not enough. If the raiders pick this up, we're in trouble. As if answering his words, the console beeped. A warning light blinked. An unknown signal pulsed on the scanner. Daniel's face hardened. "No!" He called out quickly. "Princess, we've got company." Serenia stepped inside, her calm voice steady. "What is it?" Daniel pointed to the screen. "Raiders. I recognize their signatures. They're searching the system. Could be minutes, could be hours before they find us." Her guards rushed closer, fear flashing in their eyes. "We must leave at once." Daniel shook his head sharply. "Leave? To where? Your ship is broken, and running through this forest will only get you caught. If they land, we'll be sitting targets." The guards bristled at his tone. One of them growled, "Do not speak to the princess so directly, human." But Serenia raised her hand, silencing the argument. Her calm gaze remained on Daniel. "What do you suggest?" Daniel met her eyes. "We make a stand. Prepare defenses. If they come, we fight them off long enough for your people to fix the signal and call for rescue." The guards exchanged uncertain glances. One whispered, "Follow a human's orders?" "Impossible." Serenia turned toward them, her voice cold but calm. "Impossible is to stand unprepared. If he has knowledge we do not, then we will use it. Our lives are not saved by pride but by wisdom." The guards lowered their eyes, ashamed. Serenia looked back at Daniel. "You will guide us." For the first time, Daniel saw true command in her eyes. Not just royal posture, but the strength of someone who would not bend under pressure. He gave a short nod. "Then let's get to work." Preparing. For the fight, Daniel led them outside the outpost walls. He scanned the forest with sharp eyes, kneeling to study the ground. They'll land somewhere open, probably near that ridge, he said, pointing north. If we set traps here and here, he marked spots on the dirt with a stick, we can slow them down. The alien guards frowned at his rough map drawn in mud, but Serenia crouched beside him, studying the marks. Simple, she said softly, but clear. Daniel glanced at her, surprised by her calm acceptance. Sometimes simple works best. Together they divided tasks. Daniel showed the guards how to dig pits and cover them with branches. He taught them how to string wires between trees to trip attackers. His methods were not elegant but effective. At first, the guards resisted. "This is work for common soldiers, not a princess's protectors," one complained. Daniel barked back. "Then do you want your princess dead?" "Because I don't." The guard froze, shocked at his bluntness. But before anger could rise, Serenia stepped in. She spoke calmly, yet her words cut deeper than any shout. "If this human alone is willing to protect me, then what excuse have you sworn guards of the crown?" The guards lowered their heads and obeyed. Serenia herself worked beside them. She gathered branches, tied wires, and even lifted heavy stones with steady grace. Her robes became stained with dirt, but she did not care. Daniel watched her out of the corner of his eye. She was different from the nobles he had imagined. No fear of labor, no fear of danger, only calm focus. When one guard grumbled again about following a human's orders, Serenia answered without pause. "He has walked this ground longer than we have. His knowledge is our shield. You will respect it." The guard fell silent. The princess and the soldier. By evening, the traps were set. The sun dipped low, painting the sky with streaks of gold and purple. Serenia and Daniel stood on the balcony again, overlooking the forest. Daniel leaned on the railing, his eyes scanning the treetops. "They'll come at night," he said quietly. "That's what I'd do." Serenia folded her hands neatly. "And you know this from experience?" He nodded once. "Too many battles. Raiders like the dark. Makes people panic." Her calm gaze lingered on him. "And you? Do you panic?" Daniel looked away toward the horizon. His voice was low. "I've been close. But you learn to push it down. If you let fear take you, you lose. And if you lose, the people beside you pay the price." Serenia studied his face. She saw the weight in his eyes, the burden of someone who had fought too long. Inside, she felt her heart ache slightly, but her voice remained calm. "Then, in this you and I are alike. A princess cannot show fear. If I fall, my people fall." Daniel looked at her, really looked. For the first time, he saw beyond the robes and the crown. He saw a woman who carried as much weight as any soldier. His respect for her deepened. After a long silence, Serenia spoke again. "Tell me, Daniel, do you trust me?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Why ask that now?" "Because trust is the ground we stand upon," she said softly. "Without it, no trap, no weapon, no plan will save us." Daniel thought carefully. Finally, he nodded. "Yeah, I trust you." Serenia's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then we may survive this night. The shadow approaches later. As the stars filled the sky, the outpost lights flickered. The weak communication system buzzed with static. Daniel checked it, his jaw tightening. "They're close," he muttered. Alarms rang. The scanner lit up, with multiple signals, small craft entering the atmosphere. Raiders. The guards rushed to their positions, gripping their crystal spears and energy blades. Their faces were tense, but Serenia's calm presence steadied them. She walked among them, speaking softly. "Hold your courage. You are not alone. We fight together." When she reached Daniel, he was loading his rifle with precise, practiced motions. He handed her a smaller weapon. "You know how to use this?" Serenia took it, weighing it in her hand. "I have trained, though rarely. But I prefer to command, not to kill." Daniel's eyes softened. "Then command. Leave the killing to me," She gave a small nod. And yet, if needed, I will not hesitate. For a moment, their eyes locked again. Princess and soldier. Different worlds, the same fire in their hearts. The raiders arrive. The night split with the roar of engines. Raider ships descended, their dark hulls glowing with red lights. They landed in the clearing near the ridge, just as Daniel had predicted. Shadows poured from the ships, figures armed with crude but deadly weapons. From the balcony, Daniel raised his rifle. Serenia stood beside him, her calm gaze unbroken. The traps were set. The plan was ready. Daniel's voice was steady. They're here. Serenia lifted her chin, her voice calm but commanding. Then let them come. And in that moment, as the shadows of danger closed in, the fragile trust between an alien princess and a human soldier hardened into something stronger. They were no longer strangers. They were allies, and the battle for survival was about to begin. The night was heavy with tension. The raiders' ships glowed red against the dark sky, casting long shadows across the forest. Their engines hummed like predators waiting to strike. From the outpost balcony, Princess Serenia and Daniel watched, quietly, their eyes scanning every movement. Serenia's heart remained steady, though she felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her chest. Her guards were nervous, gripping weapons tightly, but her calm presence encouraged them to focus. Daniel bent low, peering through his scope. They're coming in small groups. They want to test our traps before fully advancing. Serenia nodded. Then we give them the test they do not expect. The battle begins. The first raiders stepped into the clearing. They moved with careful precision, expecting no resistance. But Daniel's traps were ready. One misstep, and the ground gave way. A pit concealed under branches swallowed a raider. With a startled scream, wires strung between trees knocked another down. Excellent, Daniel whispered, his eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. Keep calm. Don't rush. Let them make mistakes. Serenia's guards, inspired by his confidence, took their positions along the outpost walls. Serenia herself remained at the balcony, directing their movements. Her calm voice carried commands that cut through the noise. Move to the left. Hold the line. Protect the barricade. Her authority grounded her people. They obeyed without hesitation, even as the raiders advanced. One raider approached the main entrance, trying to force the door open. Daniel sprinted forward, striking it with a heavy metal rod. The raider fell, stunned, giving the guards time to react. Serenia's heart skipped a beat, not from fear but concern. Daniel had risked himself to protect them. She forced herself to stay calm. Her role was leadership, not panic. Courage under fire, the raiders regrouped and began a coordinated assault. Their weapons fired bright bursts into the forest. Trees splintered and sparks flew as they struck the outpost walls. Smoke filled the air, stinging eyes and noses. Daniel shouted, "Watch the flanks! Do not let them surround us!" He moved, like lightning, guiding the guards, helping them aim, and pulling back anyone in danger. His courage was infectious. Even the most hesitant guard found strength in his example. At one point, a raider broke through the barricade, running straight toward Serenia. She stood firm, her calm eyes never leaving him. One guard raised his weapon, but Daniel intervened first. He lunged, pushing the raider aside and taking the brunt of a heavy strike. Serenia's chest tightened. For a moment, her composure faltered. She felt a surge of fear she had worked hard to hide, but the princess in her rose above it. She called out calmly, "Do not falter. Hold your line. The soldier is with us, and we are strong." Her voice steadied the guards. Together, they forced the raider back into the forest where traps awaited. Daniel groaned and collapsed briefly to one knee, winded but alive. Serenia moved quickly to his side, her calm hands checking him. "You are unharmed?" she asked softly, her eyes scanning him for injuries. "I'll live," he said with a strained smile, rising to his feet with her help. The sight of her calm presence, even when Daniel was hurt, reassured everyone. They fought with renewed determination. A coordinated defense hours passed, but neither side relented. Daniel continued to direct traps, aim rifles, and guide the guards. Serenya's voice remained calm, precise, and authoritative. Every command she gave reinforced the trust between her people and the human soldier. At one point, Daniel suggested a tactic. We funnel them into the canyon. They'll have nowhere to maneuver, and we control the high ground. Serenya studied the plan. Agreed. Guards, move into position. Follow the soldier's lead. Even the most skeptical guards followed. Their movements were precise, their confidence renewed by the princess's calmness and Daniel's expertise. Together, they guided the raiders into a narrow passage, cutting off escape routes and leaving the attackers vulnerable. The turning point, a large raider, heavily armored, broke through the last line of defense. Its weapon fired with deadly precision, striking the ground near Serenya. The princess did not flinch. Instead, she directed the guards, pointing to weak spots in the raiders' approach. Daniel charged forward, taking careful shots while avoiding the heavy fire. He moved like a shadow, fast and precise. Serenya's heart pounded, but she did not show fear. She called commands calmly, encouraging the guards, guiding them with every word. Finally, the raider was trapped in a pit, struggling against its fate. Daniel exhaled sharply. One down, several more to go. The remaining raiders faltered. They had not expected such a coordinated defense, led by a princess and a human soldier working in perfect harmony. Their morale broke, and soon they began retreating toward their ships. Aftermath of the battle. As the last raider disappeared into the dark sky, silence returned to the forest. The outpost walls were damaged and smoke rose from the burned areas, but the people were alive. Serenya looked around at her guards. They were bruised, exhausted, and covered in dirt, but they were still standing. She turned to Daniel, who had returned to the balcony. His clothes were torn and a faint gash marked his arm, but he smiled faintly. "We did it," he said. Serenya allowed herself a small, genuine smile. "Yes, thanks to your guidance and courage." Daniel shook his head. "No, thanks to your leadership. You kept everyone calm even when it was hardest. That's why we survived." Serenya studied him, her calm eyes softening slightly. She realized that the soldier she had once doubted was now someone she deeply respected. He had proven himself, not only with skill but with bravery and care for her people. She finally allowed herself to breathe freely. The storm of battle had passed, and though the cost had been high, they had survived. Bond of respect. Later that night, the outpost was quiet. Guards tended to wounds, repaired walls, and rebuilt defenses. Serenya and Daniel sat together on the balcony, watching the stars. Daniel spoke first. "Your people. They fought well. Even when afraid, they followed. You? That takes strength I've rarely seen." Serenya nodded. "And your actions? You risked your life for us. That is not something I will forget." There was a pause filled with mutual understanding. Two different worlds, two different lives, yet both had proven themselves capable and honorable. A bond had formed, not just of survival, but of respect and trust. Daniel looked at her carefully. "Princess, may I ask something?" Serenya's eyes remained calm, yet intrigued. "What is it?" He hesitated. "Do you trust me now?" Serenya's calm gaze met his. "I do. You have shown courage, skill, and honor. And more, you have shown care for my people." Daniel's shoulders relaxed. "Then we can face whatever comes next, together." Serenya allowed herself a faint smile. "Yes, together." For the first time in days, the princess felt a small warmth of relief. They were not just surviving. They were learning to trust, to cooperate, and to rely on each other. Hope for the future. As the night deepened, Serenya gazed at the stars. Somewhere far above, her people's reinforcements would arrive. But even without them, they had held their ground. They had survived through skill, courage, and unity. Daniel stood beside her, silent but steady. Together, they looked out over the forest. The traps were reset, The outpost was secured and the raiders were gone. Serenia realized something important. Strength alone could not win battles. Calmness, strategy, and trust were just as powerful. And with Daniel by her side, she believed, they could face anything. The princess took a deep breath. Her calm exterior hid the pride and respect growing in her heart. This human soldier had changed everything, and as the stars sparkled above, she allowed herself a rare thought. Perhaps this meeting, once unexpected and dangerous, could lead to more than survival. Perhaps it could change the future for both their worlds. The morning sun rose slowly over the forest, casting long golden rays across the outpost. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of wet earth and broken trees. After the battle, the outpost had been repaired, though evidence of the previous night's struggle remained. Scorched earth, bent metal, and scattered debris. Princess Serenia walked along the perimeter, inspecting the repairs. Her robes were still streaked with mud, but she carried herself with calm authority. Her guards moved beside her, alert but tired. For the first time, they looked at her not just as their princess, but as a true leader, someone who had guided them through fire and danger. Daniel approached from the repaired communications room. He wiped sweat from his brow, his uniform slightly torn, but his expression was steady. "The signal is stronger now," he said. "Your people should see it soon." Serenia nodded. "Good. We have survived the night, but now we must prepare for what comes next." Reinforcements arrive. Hours later, the sky was filled with the gleaming shapes of ships. They descended from above, sleek and shining, bearing the insignia of Serenia's homeworld. The princess's people had answered her call. The fleet landed gracefully and soldiers poured out, moving quickly to secure the area. Serenia watched from the balcony, her calm eyes scanning the scene. She felt pride, not only in her own people, but in the human soldier who had fought beside them. One of her senior guards approached. "Your Highness, and they have arrived. All is secure." Serenia gave a small nod. "Good. But do not forget who helped us survive. Recognition is due where it is earned." She turned to Daniel, who had remained quietly beside her. "Soldier," she said, her voice calm yet firm, "your actions saved lives. My people would not have endured without your skill and bravery. You will be honored for this." Daniel blinked in surprise. "Me? A human? You really mean it?" Serenia's calm expression never wavered. "Yes. Your courage transcends rank or race. You have proven yourself. And for that you have my gratitude and my people's respect." Her words were simple, but their meaning was profound. Daniel felt a warmth of pride he had never known before. Recognition and honor a formal ceremony was arranged in the center of the newly repaired outpost. Serenia stood on a raised platform, flanked by her royal guards. Daniel was escorted forward, his uniform dusty but neat. The assembled soldiers and technicians of Serenia's fleet watched silently, unsure at first what to expect. Serenia spoke clearly, her calm voice carrying across the hall. "Today we honor bravery. Today we honor courage. And today we honor a human soldier who stood beside us when danger came. His actions saved lives and inspired all who witnessed them." Daniel straightened, humbled and proud. He had faced countless challenges before, but recognition from an alien princess was something new. Serenia continued, "Let his deeds remind us that courage and honor are not bound by species, nor by rank. We are stronger when we stand together. We are stronger when we trust each other." The soldiers and guards of her people clapped, their applause echoing in the outpost. Even the youngest trainees felt inspired by the example of the human who had fought bravely beside a princess. Daniel bowed his head, humbled. "Thank you, Princess. I only did what I had to do." Serenia's calm gaze met his. "And that is why you are remembered. Not all do what they must, even when it is hardest." Strength. Through unity. After the ceremony, Serenia and Daniel walked through the forest, now quiet and peaceful. The remains of the traps and damaged equipment had been cleared, and the forest seemed to breathe again under the morning sun. Daniel spoke first, his voice calm. "Your people, they are remarkable. I have never seen such discipline and focus." Serenia smiled faintly. "And I have never seen a human with such skill and courage. You taught my people something important. That survival requires more than strength. It requires strategy, calmness, and trust." He looked at her carefully. "And you taught me that a leader's calm is stronger than any weapon. Your voice kept everyone steady, even in chaos." Serenia's calm eyes softened. "Perhaps we have learned from each other. Two different worlds, yet both capable of the same ideals." He nodded. "I hope this is only the beginning." Serenia allowed herself a small, rare smile. "It may be, and if it is, we will face it together with courage and calm." Diplomacy and a new alliance back at the main fleet, the princess met with her diplomats and commanders. She spoke of the human soldiers' bravery and suggested discussions for stronger cooperation between their two civilizations. Some diplomats were hesitant, citing the young and untested nature of humans. But Serenia remained calm and persuasive. "We have seen the proof ourselves," she said. "Humans can act with honor, courage, and skill. To deny them partnership is to deny our own survival and growth." The room fell silent. The diplomats could not argue with what they had witnessed. Slowly they nodded, understanding that a new alliance might not only benefit their kingdom, but strengthen bonds across the galaxy. Daniel, observing from a distance, realized the impact of his actions. He had not only survived a battle, but helped bridge two civilizations, and this thought filled him with quiet pride, a personal moment. Later, as the day ended, Serenia found herself standing alone on the balcony again, watching the last of the ships depart back to orbit. Daniel joined her quietly, standing at her side. "Princess?" he began, unsure. She turned to him, calm and composed. "Yes?" He gestured to the stars above. "I never imagined I'd stand here, honored by an alien princess after facing such danger. It feels unreal." Serenia's calm smile warmed slightly. "Reality is often stranger than imagination, but courage and calmness make the impossible possible." Daniel chuckled softly. "You make it sound so simple." She shook her head lightly. "It is not simple. It is duty, and duty is never simple." He nodded, respect shining in his eyes. "Then I am glad to have met you, and to have served beside you." Serenia's calm eyes met his. "And I am glad you were here. Together we showed that courage and trust can unite even the most different of beings. Hope for the future." The forest was quiet again, the danger past, the outpost secure. Serenia's people were rebuilding, their spirits high. Daniel's courage had been recognized, and their alliance had taken its first step. Serenia stood on the balcony one last time, her calm gaze on the horizon. The stars above seemed brighter, almost welcoming, as if acknowledging the bond formed below. She knew this was more than survival. This was a lesson for both worlds. That strength comes not only from power, but from courage, trust, and unity. And perhaps one day, humans and her people could work side by side as allies, shaping a stronger galaxy together. Daniel stood silently beside her, feeling the same hope. Two different worlds, brought together by chance and bravery, now looked toward the same future. The princess finally allowed herself to feel the warmth of gratitude and quiet pride. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and danger, and survived with honor. And she had done it not alone, but with a human soldier who had proven the best qualities of his kind. As the sun rose higher, Serenia turned to Daniel. "We have faced the trial and survived. Now the next chapter begins." Daniel smiled, his hand resting briefly on the balcony railing. "Together," she nodded, calm, confident, and resolute. "Together." Above the horizon, the stars shone, and a new hope for unity and courage spread quietly across the forest and the galaxy beyond.